Mighty Quinn here, back again today with another QB with CG vlog. The last episode of Dad's Corner, we took some prime rib. This time, we're cooking up some Super Bowl Sunday game day chili with turkey. Let's go!
Well, hello. Welcome back to Dad's Corner. We're going to be cooking my chili today. I want to show you how I cook my chili. It's an award-winning chili. I took first place for this at my office in Grand Rapids. We had a chili cook-off and I actually won it. Now there's a couple of ingredients that I'm not going to include in this version of the chili. This chili is going to be a little less aggressive. In that particular version of chili, I actually added some jalapeno peppers, jalapenos, and I actually some habaneros. Spiced it up quite a bit, so I'm going to tone it down for the family. Wife doesn't really care for that much spice, and my son has kind of got off the spice as well. So I'm going to calm it down a little bit. This is a quick meal that you can make for your family. I'll do it step by step in a rather rapid fashion. Show you what you can do, and it takes about 15 to 20 minutes with standard ingredients. All right, so let's get going. Start out with what I have in my pan here. Inside my frying pan, I have 2 pounds of ground turkey. 2 pounds of ground turkey. We used to use ground hamburger, but at the end of the day, we really find that due to our being in COVID and trying to watch what we're eating and not eat as much red meat, we changed over to turkey, and it's got a great texture in the chili. It actually works really, really well. The biggest thing I find with cooking the turkey in the pan and frying it is, one, it's very, very lean, so you got to pay attention to that, and two, how much it actually breaks up and how small it gets. It gets pretty granular. So you want to let it cook until it's almost like a big hamburger, and then start to break it up. And then don't overdo it, because it'll break up to too small of pieces, if you will. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to turn the hamburger on, the turkey, the ground turkey on. I put it at about a medium heat to start out with, just to get it frying. And then in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my wet ingredients that go into. So I do things slightly different. So when I'm making my chili, I put all of the tomato sauce and the beans into a pot right here. I'll add my seasonings. As you can see, I have my seasonings set up here. I'll go through that with you here real quick. I'll add my seasonings directly to that. I get it going and simmering at the same time my meat, or in this case poultry, is frying and you're cooking. That way when I'm ready to go, this is already preheated and ready to rock and roll. It's got all the seasonings, everything included in it. I take my meat, I drain it to a strainer into a bowl, and at the end of it, I have, in the process of doing all that, while those things are going on, I'm going to chop up my onion, because I like to add onions, but I don't like it to cook inside the chili. It really softens the onions. I'm looking for a good crisp to those onions, so I'm going to make a big pile of chopped up onions. I'll add it in at the end when I'm simmering it, and then I'll also pull out some green onions. We'll chop those up, and those go on top at the end. So it really gives it a good kick, if you ask me. So we got the meat going. We got the poultry cooking. I keep saying meat. I'm going to add my wet, if you will. So I go with 3 cans, 3 15-ounce cans of tomato sauce. Go into the pan, go into the pot. So I've already pre-opened those, so we'll get those going. Dump all 3 of them right in there. Make sure you get as much as you can, but you don't have to. I never take the time to actually scoop it out. Get the trash can here so I can throw the empty cans away. And I'll throw all 3 of those in right off the bat. Throw those 3 in, get them in the pan. Tap them on the bottom, kind of like a ketchup bottle. Get it out. And number 3. So we have a total of 45 ounces, and I just go with tomato sauce from Meyer. Meyer tomato sauce actually works really good. You can pick any manufacturer's tomato sauce you like. I use about 45 ounces. You can add or decrease that amount of sauce that you want to put into yours, and it's just going to make it either a thicker or a soupier style of chili. Depends on how much you put in. From a bean standpoint, I like beans, and in this case, again, I would normally, when I'm cooking outside the house, I'm going to go with a little stronger. This is a mild version. So I buy the kidney beans, Bush's kidney beans. I like the Bush's kidney beans, the red. Throw those in, juice and all. Everything goes in the pan. Everything that came in the can goes in. It just adds the goodness, the overall end product that you're looking for. And this one is actually the Bush's chili beans. So I throw a can of red beans in there with all the juice that comes in. And then I add a can of mild chili sauce. This has a mild chili sauce with the chili beans. Again, they're red kidney beans, but it's got a chili sauce flavor to it. Now, they also have a hot version of this and a spicier version of it. I like using that, but again, I'm trying to keep it somewhat mellow for the family. So, okay, we got 3 cans. Just to recap, we put in 3 cans, 3 15-ounce cans of tomato sauce, a can of Bush's chili beans, mild, which is about 16 ounces, and then 16 ounces of red chili beans into this pan, into this pot. I'm going to take this over here. I'm going to put it in my spicing station. I'm going to take a look at what's going on. So I got a little bit of action going on in this pan. So I'm just going to take the turkey and flip it over. So it's like I said, it's like one big hamburger is what you're actually looking for. I'm not trying to break this up right now. I'm just flipping it over so that it gets cooked. You know, you're cooking it from both sides. This pan is, I really like these new pans that my wife got for Christmas. She's done a good job. Her and I both love to cook. And so we've got this pan, but you cook at a lower heat with it. You don't want to cook at a high heat with this particular style of pan. So it's about a medium temperature again, and it's cooking up, you know, it's getting there at its own pace. We'll let that do its thing. Then we're going to come over here, we're going to add the spices. So I used to use the flavor packs that you buy at the store, but now I'm changing it over, and I'm actually starting to make my own. So this is my first attempt at it. My son's a little hesitant at the fact that I'm doing this. He's a little like, I'm not sure that this is what you should be doing. But I've done some research, and I think it's going to turn out just fine. That way I don't have any of the preservatives or anything else that would come in those off-the-shelf packs. So what it calls for is a tablespoon of chili powder per pound of burger. So I got 2 pounds of burger, so I put 2 tablespoons of chili powder into the tomato sauce with the beans. So there's 2 teaspoons of chili powder. We go to cumin. It calls for 2 teaspoons of cumin. So I'm going to turn this over to teaspoons. I got to get it down here in the light so I can see it. Some of these are hard to see. So 2 teaspoons of cumin. 1 and 2. And it calls for a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now, I like cayenne pepper. Again, this is going to spice things up. So if you want to make it a little bit spicier, you can add a full teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I'm going to keep it on the mellow side and just go with a half. So a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And then I like garlic. My family really likes garlic, and we really like onion powder. So I'm going to go with a full tablespoon of garlic for the 2 pounds. Remember, we got 2 pounds of beef in here, or 2 pounds of, I keep saying beef, I mean turkey. And then a full tablespoon of onion powder. Now I level that off, as you can see, level it off and just throw it in. Then we're looking for about 1 tablespoon of salt. What I found online actually wanted 2 tablespoons of salt, but I'm thinking I'm going to go with 1 tablespoon of salt, only for the simple fact that I'm thinking, you know, if you want more salt, you can put it in yourself at a later time. And then the last ingredient we're going to put in is a half a tablespoon of black pepper. And I like me some black pepper. Kind of crazy. When I was a kid, I couldn't stand it. My mom loves this stuff, and as an adult, I can't get enough of black pepper. So I'm going to throw that right in that pot as well. Okay, so now it sounds like we got to pay a little bit of attention to our meat. Again, just flipping it over. That's all you're doing. Get as much as you can and flip it over. We're not breaking it up even yet. It's still kind of one big quartered hamburger, if you will. I'll show you a little bit of a close-up here once I get it all turned over. This is cooking at a medium heat, and it's coming along nicely. So that's kind of what it looks like at this point, right? Been cooking for a few minutes, and still on the medium heat, but like a big hamburger. The next go around, I'm going to start doing the stab technique, right? And breaking it up into chunks. I like my meat to be a little chunkier in my chili, and so does my family, versus having it really, really broken down. All right, so now that we have all the spices and everything else in here, we're going to put this on the stove. I'm going to turn the burner on medium and just let it start to simmer, okay? Bring it up to temperature. Put it over here. I am going to grab a nice spoon in which to stir. Mix all your dry ingredients in. I guess I skipped that part. Let's make sure you get all your dry ingredients mixed in with your liquid ingredients, with all your wets, okay? Mix it up good, make sure it's good and saturated, it's spread out. A lot of the packets that you get, and a lot of other people, will actually wait until their meat is done, drain their meat, and then they put the spices and everything in with the meat. What I have found is it doesn't really make a difference, right? When you're cooking a chili, you can go ahead and put it right in the sauce, get the sauce preheated, and get it simmering nice and warm, and get it ready to receive the protein that you're cooking that's going to go inside it at the same time as you're cooking the meat itself. Poultry, meat, same thing. Okay, so now that we got all the spices in there, we'll move those aside. I'm going to pull out my onion here. Well, before I do that, I think this needs to be chopped up a little bit. We're going to flip it one more time. Make sure we've got a good cook going on it. As you can see, it's still pretty chunky. Okay, now I'm going to go in there and start breaking it up a little bit. And it's just a matter of hitting it with the top of your spatula. Just going in, making sure you don't get carried away. In this particular case, less is better. Okay? Less is better. You don't want to get this down all granularized. It will cook out and it'll be nice and chunky. I guess what you really should do is make it the size you like in your chili. That's really what I do. And we like ours to be a little bit chunkier in the chili. Okay, so that's about what I have going on. All right? All right, we'll put that back on there. You definitely want to cook your meat until you don't see any pink, right? With all ground products, you definitely want to cook until you don't see any pink. We got the sauce going. All that's going. It's nice and simmering. We got that on a little past a medium. And now I'm going to start getting into my onion. So my onion, cut the ends off. All right, throw those away. Give it a nice slice down the side. Careful with the knife. I just sharpened this today, so I don't want to cut myself. It is like razor sharp. So we want to be very careful when we're utilizing kitchen utensils. I don't need my wife saying I told you so. She hates my sharp knives. She absolutely hates the fact that I have such sharp knives. So I'm pretty much the only one that uses them in the kitchen, which is okay with me. Okay, so when I dice up an onion, I've read that they want us to go with the length of the grain, right? They want you to go down with the length of the grain. I find it much easier myself if I'm slicing it against the grain, personally. Now, it's up to you. It's your onion. You cut it any way you want. You cut it into the size of pieces you like. Me personally, this is the way I like to cut it. And then I can divide it up very easily. So then I just take it and stack it back up, right? Stack the onion back up. And then I cut it into the lengths that I want it to be. The cube size I want it to be. Okay? And with a really sharp knife, this goes nicely. Then, now that I got half that onion done, I just rotate it 90 degrees, right? And chop down through it. If you have a really sharp knife, it'll cut right through it, no problem. And there you go. Your onion is definitely cut up enough to go into, I don't want it to be too small to go into the chili, right? I want it to make sure it's got some good bite and crisp. There's a couple pieces, and I might go back over it just to make sure we got some of them bigger pieces cut up. End of the day, that's really what I'm looking for is right there. Okay, so there's a big pile of onions. That big pile of onions is going to go into this at the end. So we got our turkey cooking. It's looking good. We're going to flip it over here. Make sure we get everything not red. We don't want to see any red in it. Again, I'm not trying to break it up any smaller than I already have. So I'm trying not to stab it. Great thing about turkey is it's really lean too. So, you know, the leanness of it, you don't get a whole lot of fat generated by cooking it or frying it. That's one good thing about the process. You don't end up with a great big pan, or in my case, bowl of fat at the end of the day when you're done draining it. So there's some of these pieces are a little bit big, so I'm going to break them up a little bit more. Then I'll give you an idea. I'll give you another shot of what it looks like inside this pan. But there's our turkey. So it looks just like what you do with ground beef, right? I mean, can't not tell the difference between the two. And the texture inside the chili is phenomenal. It really is. It's a little bit, I don't know how to say it. It kind of melts in your mouth a little bit more, especially after it's simmered in the chili sauce itself. So let's see how our sauce is doing. Sauce should be coming up. Oh yeah, there we go. So here we are. We're got the sauce going. It's nice and simmering. We got the beans in there. We got all the spices in there, and it's just waiting. I'm going to turn the heat down on this. Actually, I'm going to put it to just a simmer now, because it's nice and ready. It's ready for. It's hot enough for the meat to be added, but I do not want to get it so hot that I'm kind of boiling and breaking down some of the beans. I don't want mush, right? That's not the intent here. The intent is just to get it pre-warmed, ready to accept the, in this case, I'm going to quit saying meat or turkey and say protein. The protein for the chili. Okay, so it looks to me like the turkey or protein is thoroughly cooked. I don't see any red pieces in it anymore. So it is time to drain a little bit of fat that you get off of this. And I mean, it's just a little bit of fat. I'm going to run it over here. I'm going to grab this real quick. This is just my combination. This is my go-to, right? My strainer and my stainless steel bowl. And just force, you know, make sure you don't pour it all over your countertop. That's the last thing you want to do, or your floor. Wife gets really upset when I drop greasy food on the floor. All right, there we go. All done. Let that drain out a minute. Okay, I'm going to set my pan over here out of the way. Let it cool off. One thing I never do nowadays, or you should never do, is take your hot pans and throw them into cold water. Let them cool naturally. If you throw them into cold water, you got a really good chance of warping them. And I don't know about you, but the last thing I want to do is cook with a warped pan. Cooking with a warped pan is the worst. I hate doing it. All right, so now that we got that strained out, we take the lid off over here and give this a little shake. Make sure we get as much of that fat out of there as possible. It's not critical that you get all of it out of there, right? A little bit's not going to kill anybody. So you just want to get as much as possible. Give it a quick drain. And then I move it over. And in the pot it goes, right? Again, don't splash yourself. That liquid inside the pan is warm. It's very, very hot. So do it slowly. Kind of meter it in a little bit at a time. Don't flip it in there and let it splash into the pan, because that I have found that's not a good plan. Walk away with some red marks of my own from doing it that way. Okay, so that's the end of the need for the colander and the spatula. And just to give you an idea, this is the amount of fat. Well, I don't even know if I can get it. You can see it. There you go. So there is a very little amount of grease that's come off of that turkey. So it's very, very, very lean, right? So it's a good meat to eat. It's actually pretty healthy for you. It's much healthier than ground red beef. All right, now that I've got the meat in the pan, protein, the turkey, you want to give it a good stir. You just want to let that stir it all up, get it all coated. Because again, you're going to get it coated with all the seasonings and all that good stuff you put in there. The garlic, the onion powder, the cumin, the chili powder, black pepper, and the salt. I mean, all the way around, it's going to make a yummy, yummy, yummy chili. So, again, my pot is on a simmer right now. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like, okay? So that's kind of what it looks like once you add all those ingredients together and you got it on a simmer. Now, I leave it over here. I actually turn it down even a little bit more because I don't want it to boil. I don't want it to boil. I just want it to, lightly simmer is what I'm looking for. I'm going to let it sit there and simmer for about 5 minutes. And then at the end of 5 to 10 minutes, because you can never let it simmer too long. That's one thing about chili. It's one of those dishes you can allow to sit on the stove and just simmer away all day long at a low temperature. And it turns out just make it better, right? I can say that I love my chili leftovers because they taste as good, if not better, than the day I cooked it. At the end of that 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to add these onions and stir it up, let it simmer for a couple more minutes, and after that, you're ready to eat. After I put that in there and I let that simmer for another 5 minutes or so, what I do is I get out the green, right? Green onions. And I slice out the green onions. Cut off the ends, right? Clean them all up, peel them back a little bit, get some of those shafts, and cut them into, just under a 1/4 inch thick. Little dices. That's what we put on top of our chili. So we get the chili, it's all done, it's ready to go. We put it in a bowl. We take these green onions, we sprinkle them on the top all over the place because they add a very fresh, exciting pop overall. And then, of course, last but not least, in my house, cannot have chili without Fritos, right? Got to have some Fritos. Got to have the original corn chip going into it. So we add the corn chips, give it a little bit of crunch. You can add as many as you want. You can dip the corn chips in there, eat it with the corn chips that way. They have the scoopable corn chips now. They have a lot of different variants that you can utilize. All right. Well, all in all, the last step I'm going to show you is I'm going to throw these onions in here real quick. I'm going to do it a little earlier than I normally would, just because I think everything's good and simmered over here, and I don't want to have you stand around for another 5 minutes watching this video waiting for the onions to go in. So the last step to completing the process of the onion, of the chili itself, is to take these onions and put them all right in the pan. Can't have enough onions, in my opinion. Now, you definitely want it. We use a yellow onion. We use a yellow onion because it's not that hot, right? If you want some heat, you can use a couple of different style of onions. This gives it a good crispy bite. When you bite into it, you got some crisp, you got a little bit of kickback, but ultimately, it doesn't add a lot of heat to it, right? Now, with the amount of garlic we use, or I use, I guess I should say, and the amount of onion powder I put into my chili, coupled with the onions, most people don't want to give you a kiss afterwards. But, the true connoisseurs of garlic and onion powder won't have a problem with it. All right, those onions are all kneaded into the chili. And last but not least, we're going to take the, the old chef privilege. So there you go. That is the first bite of the chili I made. It's hot, so if you're going to taste test it, make sure you blow on it. I way too often get too excited, take a taste test before I blow on it, and then I don't get to taste the real thing anymore because I done burnt up my taste buds. Let me try it out. All right. That is some fantastic chili. Thanks for joining me. This has been Dad's Corner on Super Bowl Sunday. This is my chili utilizing turkey, my own set of herbs and spices that just pop perfectly. Those onions in there are still really good and crispy, so you get the full flavor. And again, I will slice these up, put them in a bowl, and once we serve this up, we put these on top. Adds a whole nother dynamic to it. Your choice. You can also take some shredded cheese, whether it's cheddar or whatever your preferred cheese is, sprinkle it over the top of this chili, and enjoy. Thanks for watching. We'll be seeing you soon.
Oh, you guys. turkey chili was the bomb. This has been from the Mind of Quinn. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, make sure to like, share, and comment on this video. Don't forget to follow me on that Facebook and Instagram. The links will be in the description. And remember folks, I am from the Mind of Quinn, reminding you to always be mindful. For my dad and myself, have a happy Super Bowl Sunday, and peace out.